Wholeness, everyone, and welcome to another edition of We Meditate. I am your host, Ahmad Brown, aka Son of Pharaoh. And for today's episode of We Meditate, I want to talk about the illusion of shadows. The illusion of shadows. So, we're talking about shadows. We can have many interpretations of what a shadow is or what it presents to us in our lives. Just for a practical purpose, we must know that shadows are essentially always with us. If you walk outside or just essentially anywhere in where you're exposed to light, you will see that there is a shadow of you or a shadow of random objects always being cast downwind or on the back side of the light that you are exposed to. And so essentially with shadows, they are always going to be present in the presence of light. So dealing with this whole dualistic understanding, we have to really understand that all of the attributes that we have with darkness and things of that nature, darkness and shadows, we have to understand that darkness and shadows are actually a necessary part of life. Darkness and shadows are going to be with us no matter what we do when we're here in a dualistic plane. Essentially, we are dealing with the necessity of evil, so to speak, when we talk about, shadows and we talk about darkness, because essentially, we always are trying to come out of the darkness, things of that nature. But sayings like that are not talking about the pure elimination of darkness. We're talking about the awareness of consciousness, the expansion of, consciousness, the illumination or enlightenment one way may receive or grow into once they really start to understand the dark. And so when you really start to have a better understanding of the dark, you realize that it's always going to be here no matter what happens. It's almost like an old Christian saying or old Christian catechism, where they say, reach a new level, there's a new devil. And again, that it's very true. Again, not from that dualistic standpoint of opposite forces, always combating over your soul, but it's true in the aspect that no matter what you do, there's always going to be something behind you that is going to be the illusion of less than. And so and it's the illusion of less than because it's just in the basic principle of a shadow in and of itself. It's a silhouette. If you go stand somewhere in the light, go stand outside, and you stand there, you look at yourself, you see yourself in 3D form, you see all of your details, your subtle nuances, your color, so to speak, and then, how many hairs are on your head, things of that nature. But when you look at the shadow, all it is just an abstract, like, cutout almost. It doesn't know what race you are. It can't tell how old you are. It doesn't even actually give you the proper height and weight. It's some type of altered version of yourself, or an alternate reality version of yourself. And so when we talk about shadows, we have to essentially master the perception of our shadows in our life if we desire to do anything, because it's in those shadows where we have to deal with all of the negative perceptions that we have of life. Because if we look at a shadow and we look at how it's cast, we know that it's not our actual physical presence, but it's a part of our spiritual essence, because we have a lesser light. There's the greater light of the sun, and then there's the lesser light of the moon, which is the reflection of the sunlight at nighttime. And so the same thing is with us. We are actually, unlimited spirits from the collective whole that are actually casting a shadow version of that in human form, or essentially a lesser version of our limitless self in the form of a limited body. And so in this great macrocosmic detail of, again, the collective whole versus the individualized body, we actually see it on the microcosmic scale being the earth, meaning your body casting a shadow. And so we have to begin to start to see the parallel themes that are actually happening here, because once we start to understand it on a conscious level, we can begin to apply it for our life and our expansion. And so we have to realize on the macrocosmic scale that, yes, we are everything. We literally are everything, and we're just spending time in this less than form, so to speak. And so in this less than form, we can actually maximize our ability to do all things by focusing on our greater self, focusing on our higher self, or focusing on the authentic part of ourself that is not the shadow. And so when we look at the greater light of our life and keep our focus on the greater light of our life, we can positively overcome life's shadows. We can positively overcome the illusions of life via the darkness of life, so to speak, which is the dwelling place for all forms of negativity. And again, negativity not being bad, but negativity where it's out of alignment, where we focus on the negativity and make the negativity real via our fears or via our doubts. And so we have to basically really understand that our fears and our doubts and our mishaps and things of that in life are always going to follow us. They're always going to be right there, no matter what we do, no matter how much we purify ourselves, things of that nature. If we are alive and in a human body, we're always going to cast a shadow. And so we have to really just neutralize the threat of the illusion of the shadow, which again is just a cast iron, version of ourself, or a watered down version of ourself, and go into the higher form of ourself and just let the shadows sit where they are. Let the shadows be as they are, be as they may be, and continue to grow. Because again, we can make the mistake of turning our attention to the lesser light. And when we turn our attention to the lesser light, we actually lessen ourselves. Because the negativity or the attachment or the focus to negativity will manifest itself it will manifest itself in a form that makes it appear more real when it's just the replica, meaning that whatever you want out of life or wherever you believe you're going to go and going to do, you will actually get there in reality unless you will allow the perception or allow the illusion that you won't override your ability to do so. And so you will actually begin to follow the illusion, the lesser version of yourself, and shift your attention in that direction, which will then pull your body in that direction. And then that's what you will actually manifest, a less than version. So if you make the mistake of investing so much attention into your shadow, you will essentially switch your position in the light. Now we're talking about, law of attraction, things of that nature. When you essentially walk in faith, positivity, or walk in fear, you will essentially change your perception or change your direction in where you are with the light. And so as you continue to grow into the light, so to speak, meaning your ideas, that's what we're talking about, the light. The light is your ideas, the things that you can manifest into this reality, bring into a physical form. As you go closer to the light, your ideas will actually get larger. And as your ideas get larger, meaning you're closer to the source in your consciousness, when you see that in the astral plane, meaning see it in your thoughts, and you can see the possibility of how much of change you could bring into your own life or change you could bring into the world. And as you are closer to the light, the appropriation of the shadow will grow larger. Basically, it's like this. If you are in your home and you turn the light on, let's say the light is like a lamp that's right by the wall. So if you stand on the opposite end of that of the room and then look at the shadow that's being cast on the wall behind you, it will be a very small shadow. And the reason why it's a very small shadow is because you're far away from the source of light. So because you're far away from the source of light, i.e. the source of ideas, the intelligence of quote unquote God, there's very little darkness that will dwell there because you're actually not doing any friction activity. You're not actually reenacting the God. You're not reenacting God or doing the God act by bringing something forth into manifestation. You're just being stagnant and you're being still. So there's actually very, very little darkness in your shadow that's being cast because there's no force that's being used. Essentially, you don't have any positive thoughts or positive movements to actually have negativity to come and balance it out or come to try to override again if you focus in that direction. However, in that same room, using that same light, if you walk all the way up to the light, meaning the source of the light in that room, and you turn around and look for that same shadow has extrapolated. Not extrapolated, excuse me. It has it has grown exponentially. There we are. And in this exponential growth, your shadow is bigger than you. Like it literally casts down the wall. I mean, down on the floor, up the wall, all the way up to the ceiling. And so, this is what they talk about, in those, self-empowerment, sayings and things of that nature, where if your dreams don't scare you, that means you're not dreaming big enough. This is where they're talking about the casting of a shadow. When you have an idea that's closer to the source of all things, it will show you how big your idea can possibly be if you have something like that for you. And so when you're that close to the light, and then you look at the balancing agent, or the negativity, the shadow that will be cast, the illusion that you have to go through to bring into manifestation, you will see that it is a very vast illusion that will help you bring it into manifestation if you go through the process of working it out, or will be the reason why you fail, because you become fearful of all of the darkness around you, because you have so much light work to do. And so this is how we can move into our lives and essentially, not do anything. And I will say I've personally encountered it before. I've had a couple of very, very grand ideas early in my life, I remember. However, when I saw what I had to do to get them, meaning the process, and again, the process is the birthing, and the birthing is done in the darkness. It is in the womb. And so when I saw the process that needed to take place, I saw it was a very big shadow. And so even though, again, it's just an illusion, meaning like it's a block, or it's a roadblock, or it's some type of stumbling thing, that can quote unquote hold you back. When you look at it from the illusion, looking at it strictly from the illusion aspect, you will see it as a difficulty or an obstacle, which will either lower your power and your expectation or ability to do it, or give you a mind of fear, which will do the same thing as well. But when you understand it from, again, the balancing agent of positive and negative, light and dark, knowing that they are both balancing agents of one another, you will know that that is the process aspect, meaning you are going through and doing whatever it is you need to do to bring it into manifestation. A basic way of looking at it is just getting a job. In order to get a job, you have to see what the process is. You have to see what the birthing period is. You have to see what aspect of darkness you have to shuffle through in order to get it. And that shuffling is one, getting the necessary education or the necessary skills. That's a process. It takes time to get those skills, to get that education. Two, you got to fill out the application, to actually fill out the application and submit it. Three, you have to go and do the interview, things of that nature. So we're just talking about the practical process of walking through your shadows, or walking through your shadow realm, things of that nature, because those are the illusions where all of your fears, where all of your blockages are when you see it from a divided stance. But when you see it from a manifesting stance, or see it from just a simple stance of balance, you will know that it is the process for which you have to bring it into manifestation. So when we continue to keep our focus into the light, into the father principle, so to speak, we will in turn meet the mother. And the mother will be the darkness. The mother will be that shadow. And when we meet the mother, we actually should embrace the mother, meaning we should embrace our shadows. We should embrace the illusion of fear. We should embrace the illusion of roadblocks. We should embrace the illusion of pitfalls and setbacks. We should embrace all of the things we think are going to stop us or hold us back from getting what we're supposed to get, and courageously charge through them by just simply doing the work. And when we do the work, we will start to unravel this illusion of darkness and bring it into the manifestation of light, which is this 3D realm in physical form. And so just know that our shadows are not real. And if our shadows are very small, just know that we're actually thinking small. And again, there's nothing wrong with thinking small either. That's simply just where we are in our personal journey. But if we're in the journey where we have these grand ideas, do know that there's a large shadow that's being cast as well. Meaning that's just how much energy that you have. That's just how close you are to the light. And that's just how much work that has to be done for you to manifest it. But do know, once you manifest it, you will reap a very large reward. So do not walk in fear. Do not be let your force be diluted by fear. Let yourself be aroused by the possibility of the things that you can bring forth into the world using the unlimited power source of the Almighty, which is you. So walk in the light, and embrace your shadows. And this is the process of how we shall all work for our own empowerment, for our own expansion, and for a betterment of life for ourselves and everyone else around us. This is Ahmad Brown, aka Son of Pharaoh, from We Meditate, and I hope you have a blessed day.